All right, let's dive into a debate as old as time. Wine versus whiskey.
It's a classic. And you know what? We've got the perfect source material to untangle this delicious dilemma.
Oh, tell me more.
It's an episode from a podcast called Roundtable Wine Jokes and Secrets.
Catchy. What's the setup?
You've got two whiskey enthusiasts, Liam and Jake, and two wine aficionados, Sophia and Olivia, going head-to-head.
A real showdown then. But how do you even begin to compare these two drinks? They appeal to totally different senses, don't they?
Well, this podcast starts with a taste test that's really revealing. Right away, you see the contrasting philosophies.
Okay, I'm hooked. Tell me more.
The wine enthusiasts, Sophia and Olivia, they're all about wine subtlety, the mystery. They pick up notes of red fruits, earthiness.
Okay, I'm with them so far.
They even get leather and chocolate.
Leather and chocolate. Wow, that's a new one for me.
Yeah, and Liam, one of the whiskey guys, he jokes that Olivia sounds like she's chewing on a library book.
Huh. I can imagine that went down well.
Yeah, not so much. The whiskey lovers, they see their drink as a straight shooter, you know?
More upfront, less about the hidden depths.
Exactly. They focus on the prominent notes like oak, char, and honey.
So we've got nuanced layers versus bold flavors. Already interesting. Do you think this reflects a deeper cultural divide too?
That's a great question. And it's something they actually dig into on the podcast. The next thing they tackle is aging. Crucial to both drinks, but in very different ways.
I was just thinking that. Both wine and whiskey get better with age, right? But the processes are totally different.
Totally. For whiskey, Liam, he's all about the transformation that happens inside the barrel. The interaction with the wood, absorbing the character, evolving over time.
Makes sense.
And he says that's what gives each bottle its history. Olivia, she counters with the idea of wine being like a time capsule, capturing a place in time.
Interesting, like a snapshot of the vineyard that year.
Exactly. And she uses classic French wines as examples, vintage Bordeaux and Burgundy, known for their aging potential.
It's funny though, they're both using the history card, but in totally different ways.
Right. Whiskey's about the history within the bottle, while wine captures the history of the environment.
And this leads to another debate, right? Longevity.
You got it. Jake, the other whiskey lover, he says an open bottle can last for years, no problem. And Sophia, quick as a flash, she says that's because whiskey just sits there. Wine is alive, meant to be enjoyed now.
Huh, I love that. It's getting competitive,
Yeah.
but it sounds like good fun too. Beyond the taste and the aging though, I'm curious about the wider image, the cultural associations. You think wine, you think.
Sophistication, romance, centuries of tradition.
Yeah, all of that.
Olivia definitely plays that card. She talks about wine being part of these major historical moments enjoyed by, well, everyone, from Roman emperors to, artists and poets.
9. The drink of emperors and poets and whiskey.
We turn to Liam for that. He goes for the rugged spirit of whiskey, links it back to Scottish and Irish heritage, battles fought, poetry written, a drink for those forging their own path.
I like it. So we have a real clash of cultures developing here. Wine is refined, historical. Whiskey, it's more about bold independence.
And what makes this podcast so great is that it's not just a philosophical debate. They bring it to life with personal anecdotes.
I'm all ears. Give me the gossip.
Sophia tells this story about a wine tasting gone wrong. You can picture it. Everyone's swirling their glasses, sniffing out hints of plum, and then disaster.
Oh, what happened?
She sneezes right into her glass.
No way.
Red wine everywhere, her white dress ruined. A total nightmare.
That's hilarious. It's like a reminder that all that sophistication can come back to bite you.
Totally. And on the whiskey side, Liam confesses to spilling a drink on a distillery guide's shoes during a tour in Scotland.
I can only imagine how that went down.
It just shows even the biggest whiskey enthusiast can have a clumsy moment.
It reminds us that we're all human, right?
Yeah.
No matter which drink we prefer.
Absolutely. And that brings us to the podcasters' closing arguments. They each get to sum up their case for why their drink reigns supreme.
Okay, I'm ready. Let's hear those final arguments.
Jake, the whiskey guy, he calls whiskey distilled art. Fire, wood, patience. And then Sophia, summing up for the wine lovers, she talks about romance, earth, and tradition. It's like their whole debate distilled into a few powerful words.
I love how their closing arguments capture the whole debate. It really is like choosing between philosophies, isn't it?
It is. And they don't stop there. Liam jumps in and says, whiskey is all about no frills, for people who want life distilled to its core.
So whiskey is stripping things back, and wine
Olivia comes back with wine being about embracing everything, all the flavors, all the notes, all the stories, like really experiencing life.
Wow. So whiskey's about simplicity, wine about complexity. Fascinating how they become metaphors, haven't they?
It is. And what I think makes it work so well is how they use those stories, the personal ones, brings those philosophies to life.
Yeah, you're right. It makes it so much more relatable. Like when Sophia talked about that wine tasting disaster, kind of makes you realize it doesn't have to be so stuffy.
Totally. Wine can feel intimidating, but that story reminds us it's okay to mess up, have a laugh.
Exactly. And then there's Liam spilling whiskey on the distillery guide's shoes. Speaks to that more adventurous side of whiskey, doesn't it?
Definitely. A little rebellious, maybe. Like whiskey is a drink for exploring, pushing boundaries.
And it's those moments, those spills and sneezes that make the best stories, don't they?
Yeah.
Makes you realize we shouldn't take ourselves too seriously.
Totally. And it's those shared experiences, elegant or messy, that make these drinks more than just drinks. They become part of us, part of our stories.
So taking a step back from all the fun and the rivalry, what's the takeaway? What have we learned from this wine and whiskey deep dive?
I think the biggest thing is realizing there's no right answer. Wine and whiskey both have incredible flavors, rich history, amazing cultures around them.
It's about finding what you love, right? What fits your taste, your philosophy even, and appreciating all the work and history that goes into it.
Exactly. And what's cool is our tastes change. You might love whiskey today, but tomorrow, who knows? Maybe a vintage Bordeaux catches your eye.
That's what makes it so exciting. There's always more to learn, more to try. This deep dive has been such a journey, so much passion, so much to think about. But it's also left me wondering,
Oh, what's that?
what if we don't need to choose sides? What if the real magic is enjoying both? Wine and whiskey.
That's a great point. Like, why limit ourselves?
Exactly. It's about expanding our horizons.
Yeah.
Trying new things, not being stuck in one camp or the other.
It's about realizing there's room for everyone at the table, whether you like a complex, subtle drink or something bold and simple.
And at the end of the day, isn't that what it's all about? Bringing people together, sharing stories, and, just enjoying good company.
You got it. And that is what makes a deep dive worthwhile.
So we're going to leave you with this. As you think about wine and whiskey, think about your relationship with them.
What experiences have shaped your views? What flavors do you love?
Maybe there's a wine that takes you back to a special moment, or a whiskey that reminds you of a cozy night with friends.
Whatever you like, keep exploring, keep experimenting, keep discovering new stories and flavors.
There are no right answers, just new discoveries, new joys, new memories to be made.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So until next time, cheers to embracing it all. The complexity, the history, the pure joy of a good drink, whether it's wine, whiskey, or something else entirely.
Cheers to that.
And to you, our listeners, happy sipping. As we've been going through all this, something's been striking me. Wine and whiskey, as different as they are, they actually have quite a bit in common, too.
You're right, they do. I mean, at their heart, they both really showcase, human ingenuity, our connection to nature.
Yeah, when you think about it, they both start with pretty basic ingredients. Grapes for wine, grains for whiskey, but then through human skill, through time and effort, they become these amazing, complex drinks.
It's like taking the essence of nature and with, careful process and craft, you elevate it into something special, something more.
And that transformation, it doesn't happen overnight, right?
What?
Both wine and whiskey, they need patience. You have to let time do its thing.
You got it. Think about those winemakers. Years tending the vineyards or the distillers, watching over that aging process, knowing that every season just adds more depth, more character to the final product.
It's a good reminder. The best things in life, like a perfectly aged wine or a smooth whiskey, they're worth the wait. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I think the biggest takeaway, it goes beyond the flavors, beyond the history, even the cultural stuff.
It's a personal, right?
Yeah, it's the personal connection. What makes you choose a glass of wine over a glass of whiskey? Or the other way around?
What about your experiences, your background, even just what your taste buds like plays into that decision?
Maybe you have a wine that you always think of when you think of a certain event, a special dinner, a family get-together.
Or maybe a certain whiskey takes you back to, like a cozy night by the fireplace, or a big party with friends full of music and laughter.
Whatever it is for you, the important thing is to keep exploring, keep trying new things, keep uncovering all the stories and flavors that make these drinks so interesting.
And remember, there's no right or wrong answer here. It's about what speaks to you, what brings you joy, what makes your experiences richer.
So until next time, cheers to appreciating it all. The complexity, the history, the simple pleasure of a good drink.
Cheers to that.
Whether you're a wine lover, a whiskey fan, or somewhere in between, may your glass always be full of delicious discoveries.